Cabinet time. In the process now of making some drawers now for all the custom cabinets that I built, and I'm going to show you real quick what I like to double check on before I just, rather than, again, when you buy them from the store, everything is pre-done and it's no big deal, but when you're custom making everything, things don't always come out exactly the way that you measured things and the way you think they're going to be. So I always wait until I've got my cabinets built. Then I go back through, get the drawer glides on, and then I measure exactly the distance between those. And then also take into consideration now the nominal sizes of material. If you're using 3/4 plywood for a thing, it's not actually 3/4 anymore. It's usually a little bit thinner than that, about a 1/16. So if you get your dimensions between your drawer glides, and you automatically assume 1.5 inches, for your math to make your drawers, sometimes end up being a little too small, and then the drawer glides don't fit well. So, let me show you. This is a good example here. I've got this cabinet. It's got 3 drawers going in. I went ahead and when you're making your pieces here, figure out your spacing for your drawers, and put your pieces right next to each other, back to butt. I put sort of that part against that part, laid out kind of like a butterfly wings. And then what you can do is measure the line, or the space where you want your drawers, and then take a big square and mark a line all the way across the center point of all your drawer glides, right across both pieces. And that way you've already got the lines there to install your drawer glides. Sometimes I'll even put the drawer glides on before I even assemble the cabinet. In this case, I went ahead and just did it after with a fact. So now I've got my guys in place here. And so what I do is I measure exactly right between the drawer glides here to get my width I need, which in this case looks like 16 and 11/16. Take that 1/16 off, so I'm going to say 16 and 5/8. You don't want them super tight, because it's a lot harder to deal with a cabinet that's a tiny bit tight. If for some reason you are a little off, you can always loosen up your drawer glide and put a tiny shim in behind it to, push it out a little bit. And again, this is also where it's very important to have your cabinets consistently the same width from the front to the back. If you're 15.5 at the back and 15 3/4 up front, and you build your box, obviously that ain't going to work so good. So make sure you're consistent with your construction. That easy. Well, hey guys, a little pro tip for you. If you're doing drawers for your bus conversion, or your shuttle bus conversion, or your big shuttle bus conversion, and you don't want to just use the basic plywood and have that rough look, it can be all right. But a fairly nice and simple way to make it a little more professional, make it look a lot nicer, is by taping on these nice little taped edge banding. You can buy it in huge rolls. You can get it in like 50-foot, 100-foot, but you can get it big rolls is the best deal. But basically, it's got a glue. Let's see if you can see that. Kind of a glue right on the back of it. And with just a normal iron, your typical household iron, I set it on the wool setting, not super high. You don't want it steaming, so don't put any water in it. But you basically cut your pieces to cover the tops of the the edges, and you tape it or set it on there, iron it on. You only have to hold it in a spot for about 5 or 6 seconds if your iron is hot, and then once you're done, there'll be it comes a little wider than the thing. So as you're doing it, make sure you kind of don't get too far one way or the other and leave yourself exposed. You want it overhanging slightly on all edges, and then it's pretty easy just to take a knife, take your utility knife, shave off a little bit of the excess, the longest parts, and then I like to take a file, a nice flat file, and clean up those edges. So let me show you how to do that quick. So on the corners, it's a little bit, you can break them off and they can fracture a little bit. So what I like to do is take my utility knife and I kind of put it right up against this part and then kind of push down like that. See how that works? It's okay to have a little bit overhanging, because then you take your file, only go with one direction. You don't want to draw back up, because then that can pull the piece up. Just pushing down, a couple quick swipes with the file, and that's all you really need. And you can hit it with the sander. You're a little bit of a sandpaper just to soften up the edges a little bit before when to finish it, but that's the idea. And then for edges like this, where you can see there's a little bit of it overhanging, just take your utility knife with a real nice sharp blade and just put a little pressure on. You don't want to push it real hard, but just enough pressure so that it'll just use the plywood of the here as a guide, essentially, like that. Take off the bulk of it. Ooh, don't go too deep. And then again, take the file. Couple quick swipes like that, and take the bulk of it off. You can make sure it's all gone. And then a nice little piece of, say, 220 grit sandpaper. Just soften the edge up, a couple quick swipes, and that edge is good and ready for stain or paint. Alrighty, how about an update? Getting countertops finished out here. Still got some edge banding to put on and some more details to do, but got our nice short little section here. Two drawers, nice little junk drawers. Got a little surprise. It was going to be a surprise over there, but now it's a surprise for over here. We'll hold off on telling you about that one. But 3 hinged accesses. Got our sink here, and it's going to be a nice deep sink, and I built a custom cabinet so the drain will go straight down right here. And so we still got a nice big, very big usable drawer out of this underneath there. And then the stovetop / oven will be right in this space. Back it up a little. And so we got the old flip top like that, so it can pop up to when in use. Pop on back down when not in use. Still got, again, put an edge band across the front. And then our 2 freezers, which one will be controlled as a refrigerator, will sit on this side. And so that opens up like that, and then the door of the freezer will lift up also. They're top loads. So this one will have that controller we're going to mount on the front of it, and it'll be visible and controllable right through this little front hatch here. And then this one back here is for the freezer. The freezer, and that'll be sitting right down in this space. So she'll have both refrigerator and freezer. And they're actually both the same freezer unit, but we'll be able to control one as a refrigerator. So, and then I had a little bit of a tight squeeze in between here, but got the utilized this corner a little bit more. I had these cutoffs from something else I was doing here, I forget, but figure what the heck. And she's got a nice little spot to tuck her chair in underneath, and I'm going to put one more shelf a little bit above that one, so create a nice little cubby here for some more storage. And there you go. Moving along. Morning update. Missing some parts, so we can't finish everything up yet, but got the faucet in, but we don't have the supply quite totally finished off yet. And look at this detail. Woohoo. That for a cool bus detail. She had this some of this beautiful granite that she had from another project, and so wanted to have a spot to be able to you know, do baked goods, roll out fresh tortillas. Woohoo! Microwave is going to sit right there. I've got toe kicks to do. We're still deciding on this little spot here. We originally had, again, this cabinet was designed to sit like about here, and I thought we were going to have a little space at the end for some shelving, but we decided to go ahead and slide it all the way out, and that way it created the space to add this little slide out space. And then this one on this side also we switched and moved out a little further, and that created more room for that cabinet. Now we've got this space here, and I have the drawer front, like a false drawer front to go on here. But what I'm going to do is create a little insert, kind of a box that'll fit in here, and then we'll get one of the hardware so that this one can kind of just drop down and be able to access that, as well as kind of access over here again to maximize and utilize every bit of that space that we have to use. So again, 3 big drawers on this side. Nice big and deep, real big huge drawer here. 3 more here. Another big one on the bottom there. 2 more here, and customized to fit the plumbing for the sink. I've got to tweak this one a little bit. I messed up. I made this one low so it wouldn't run into the handle, but I forgot or didn't realize I was going to have a little more sticking out here with the actual fire or the stove. So unfortunately that's still bumping there, so I got to do a little customizing on this guy, make it work. And then this one slides out the other way for all kinds of pantry goodies. So everything's going to get painted. All the lower sections are all going to get paint. The countertops themselves are just going to get stained and polyurethaned. And again, we've got this beautiful piece of granite. So these two are, again, nice shorties for trash bins, and need to get the handles on there, but we found these nice handy trash bins on Amazon, and I actually kind of designed around them. We wanted to find some that would be good height and good depth, and so we found those first, and then I basically built the cabinet around it. And then we've got 2 nice little short stubby little drawers here that'll go for filling up, junk drawers. Nice little handy spot for miscellaneous goodies. And Again, the outlets, this outlet here on the countertop has got the USB connections on it, so things can be plugged in on the counter there for charging phones, doing whichever. And then we're going to add another little piece, a nice little top cap piece on here eventually that's going to stick out a little bit, and it's going to have a little LED light up underneath that'll shine off the countertop. That'll kind of wind its way actually all the way around on both sides over here. Plywood on the countertops are only 3/4 plywood, but I added a small extension on them to make them all the same thickness as the granite here. Basically about 1 1/8 inches. Gives them a little more, makes them look a little heftier. But there's a wider edge banding you can buy to deal with that. Follow the curves here. So we bought the beautiful birch plywood for the counters and the cabinetry and everything, and Pat really liked some of these dark grain sections that were on the good side of the plywood. So I went ahead and laid out and utilized it a little bit more, and that'll come out a lot more when it's stained and polyurethane. This side here was real fun. Utilize that one that looks like stalactites or angel's wings. If you look, there's another piece had this same general pattern, so I went ahead and utilized that same deal on this little section right here. So try to incorporate that same cool pattern throughout. We got a bunch of sanding and before the final staining and polyurethaning happens, but this is where we're at for now. There we go. That's the cabinetry and the countertops. Came out real nice. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe, hit the notification button to see the entire build, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching, guys.